I've returned to one of my favourite locations. I do love this place. This is the older part of Retford Cemetery, and these old gravestones can provide happy hunting ground even in the middle of January. The temperature's up today and what it has been. In fact, it's 10 centigrade as I've just arrived here. We had sub-zero temperatures overnight again, and the cold spell that we've had for nigh on the past fortnight is finally over. But there's a storm coming, and before that storm arrives, I'm counting these Harlequin ladybirds and any other ladybirds that are tucked in with them. And gravestones such as this provide the ideal place to seek them out. But it's not just ladybirds that we'll be looking at, because this older part of Retford Cemetery is a great place for the larval cases of Psychidae moths, and they adorn a number of the old gravestones here. And here we have a nice little collection, mostly harlequins here, but tucked in are a couple of 10-spot ladybirds, two variants of. The small ladybird right at the very top is a very colourful form of 10-spot, and the third ladybird up, the other small ladybird from the bottom of the group, is a more normal form of 10-spot ladybird. It's an extremely variable species, and of course, as is the Harlequin ladybird, a number of which you can see there. And the count at the moment on just a few gravestones, there are 26 harlequins and 3 10-spots. It'll be interesting to see what else turns up in the ladybird form. And despite those sub-zero temperatures that we've had for the first half of January, it's not stopped the development and growth of our early spring bulbs. We've got daffodils here in the foreground, even bluebells starting to come through in amongst these, and at the base of the tree, clumps of developing snowdrop shoots. Another couple of weeks and this will be full of flower. If you visit a number of cemeteries with old gravestones like this, and preferably growing underneath trees, you'll probably see this. And if I put my fingernail at the side here, you can see how small it is. And this is the nymph, second instar nymph of forest bug, or used to be called forest bug, and they changed its name to red-legged shield bug, otherwise known by the scientific name of Pentatoma rufaeps. And these can often be found even in the depths of winter, in the coldest of conditions, sat openly on the trunks of trees. Sycamores are quite well favoured, but this one's got a bit of walking to do to find a sycamore. But as you can see, it's active. Amazing how these little things can survive the cold. Well, our third species of ladybird, with the 7-spot ladybird just actively walking. It's stopped now. We have a leafhopper here as well, with one of the Acer feeding leafhoppers. So 3 species of ladybird. It's amazing what's about when you look tucked away on these fabulous old stones. There's another group of 3 harlequins here, and the small ladybird is another 10-spot, one of the 3 that I've found so far. I was hoping to find one other species of ladybird here, and that's the main reason why I've come here today. The trees either side of this path are all Norway maple, and I'm hoping that there are, or should be a number of orange ladybirds tucked in amongst these harlequins. I saw a report from a similar kind of cemetery with old gravestones and very high numbers of orange ladybirds, even higher numbers of harlequins, and that's encouraged me to come out here today to see if orange ladybirds are indeed here. Now, I've not found any at the moment, but it's early days. I've only been here quarter of an hour, and so it'd be interesting to see whether they do turn up. Well, here's a ladybird that I didn't expect, to be honest, and I've not recorded this species at Retford Cemetery, but this is kidney spot ladybird. When I initially saw it on approach to this gravestone, I was expecting pine ladybird, but the round overall shape, almost like a German soldier's helmet from the World War II, it's that kind of shape, very easy to determine the species. Jet black, shiny, and with two often kidney shaped marks on one on each elytra, and they make up the kidney spot ladybird. But it's a nice one to find. Often find these on ash, or if near water they will be on goat sallow, and usually on the trunks, not so much on the foliage. So that's kidney spot ladybird. Ladybird species number 4, but not the orange one that I'm after. Well, I'm up to 30 harlequin ladybirds, 3 7 spots, 3 10 spots, and a kidney spot. But what I am finding a lot of, if I can find it, I think it's there, are more Pentatoma rufibs nymphs or red-legged shield bugs. This is about the 6th that I've had just on this row of gravestones. Such hardy little things, but it's surprising what's actually out and about. There's another 2 harlequins on this gravestone, but just tucked in there, look, is an adult hawthorn shield bug. Often find them, or used to find them, tucked away under loose bark, but if you remember or saw the South or Minster video recently, found one of these tucked in with a group of 7 spot and harlequin ladybirds, and they will overwinter quite openly like this. There's another 10 harlequins on here, taking us to 42. We've got 2 just tucked in here, and then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 there, and there's a 3rd one down below in amongst this same kind of patterning or leaf carving, making 10. So we're on 32. No other ladybird species here, but I think the shadiness of this headstone is certainly lending itself to being favourable habitat for a number of Psychidae moth larval cases. I'm just making sure, but granite headstones like this weren't used that much 100 or so years ago, when the majority of the people were buried here. In fact, this is pretty much the only one that I can see in this old section. But granite must be a colder stone, or at least it doesn't warm up as easily as the typical stones that we've been looking at and that have featured so far in this video. And so they're usually pretty poor for invertebrates. They're quite smooth as well, so algae doesn't grow on them too much, so you don't get Psychidae moth larvae very often on them. But ladybirds also seem to avoid them. You will get the odd one, of course, but there is nothing under here today. Well, very little on these stones here. The majority of gravestones that I'm finding ladybirds on, the ladybirds are on more or less the southern or southwestern side, so they obviously like that side because it warms up more in the sun. These are all facing sort of north and northeast, so even though there's plenty of nooks and crannies for them to tuck themselves away on the opposite side, they're devoid of invertebrates. There's another 8 harlequins tucked in here, and just the other side, the other end of this headstone, there's our 4th 7-spot ladybird. So these 8 harlequins take us up to approximately 40. Got another harlequin tucked away here, and one of 2 7-spots on here. There's this one just here, look, and then one just tucked away in the scrolling pattern on this headstone. It takes us now up to 45 harlequin and 6 7-spots. I just love this shot. There's something about these brightly coloured ladybirds and the sort of greyness or sandy coloured nature of these stones. It really brings out the colours of ladybirds. They look absolutely fantastic on the stone to me. And here we have 4 7-spots, 2 at the front here and singles further in, and another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 harlequin ladybirds. Well, here's the largest group or aggregation. There's 2 groups here, of course, and these are all harlequins and 7-spot ladybirds. The interesting thing is that the harlequins have clustered together in both groups, and they're forming the centre of each of these 2 groups, and they're surrounded by 7-spots. There's 21 7-spots in these 2 groups and 10 harlequins. And I'm beginning to lose count, but I think we're now on to 31 7-spots and 60 harlequins. Well, here's another ladybird species tucked in. The one with the white spots is cream spot ladybird, and we have, of course, 3 large 7-spot ladybirds and 3 harlequins tucked away in there. I'll give a count up in a second or two. Another Clydoceras resides, the bug that's resting on the harlequin right in the centre. So we're doing well for species, but no orange ladybirds, which was the one I was hoping for. Well, this 7-spot here has been on a little bit of a wander. It's probably just relocating because we're losing the sun now and the wind's increasing quite noticeably. It's blowing through the taller trees here at Retford Cemetery, but I found several more clumps and groups and isolated singles and 2s of 7-spots and harlequins, bringing the total to 80 7-spots and 73 harlequin ladybirds. And then we've had odd singles of cream spot ladybird, kidney spot ladybird, and 3 10-spot ladybirds too. It's surprising what is actually out and about, and counting ladybirds, they're not the coleopterist's preferred choice of prey, so to speak. They don't like ladybirds because ladybirds are so common, kids like them, but that's one good reason to get into ladybirds. Another good reason to get into ladybirds is that you can count something throughout the winter months and in the worst of the British weather. All of these ladybirds will have been here throughout the winter since the last fine warm summer days of autumn, when a lot of relocating takes place. And as the days start to warm up, more relocation will also start to take place. So a good range of species. Disappointing that I've not turned up orange ladybird. I'm going to have a look at some of the trees, some of the beech trees, because beech is a favourite tree with orange ladybirds, but sycamore is one to look for. But I'm still surprised that there's been none in this vicinity, with the Norway maples being here. But it's past an hour on, and it's been extremely entertaining. Counting ladybirds is, and it provides useful early season data, whether the county recorders like it or not.